Hey guys, it's Mari here, and I want to talk about September, which September was definitely a better month for me other than August, where I lost 20,000. I was able to make that back and also get over all-time highs in my equity curve, so I thought that was something meaningful, but September was definitely difficult. There were a lot of trades that were a bit choppier, and the volume and the cleanness of every chart was a lot more difficult than it would be in like a hot month. So I find myself just thinking, is it going to start to heat up? So then I'm like, I see some charts and I see a chart like ILUS, and this just kind of gets me to think, okay, well, is this gonna heat back up? So then I just find myself looking for when is it gonna get hot, and I don't want to miss it because I am very prepared. So it's like just a constant reminder of when is it gonna get hot, when is it gonna get hot, and I feel like that can be a huge mistake because then suddenly you're trying to, since you missed ILUS, then now you're trying to do better on like other trades. So now you're using more size because you're thinking it's hot, like it's getting hot, everybody's doing a lot better. And then suddenly you're met up with choppy action and stuff that maybe just like starts losing volume after like midday. It doesn't really continue its follow through as it should because it's not really that clean because it is not that time yet. So for me, that's what this month that month was like. September, it was good, it was consistent, but then again it was like me thinking all constantly like I'm not gonna miss it this time because last time I wasn't really that experienced. So it was just a constant reminder of, is it hot, is it hot, is it hot, am I gonna start using size? And I see people doing really good, and then meanwhile I'm in these charts, the exact same charts, but they're very choppy. So for example, ILUS was one of the charts that I overtraded, which in hindsight, like, this is a very nice looking chart. And this was kind of like the days where I was just expecting that breakout, and I was thinking, well, we've seen this move before. We've already seen TSNP. We have that example where it just goes on the first run, then it dips, but it holds, and it has like 3 days of consolidation before the breakout. And also was expecting news, and it was on Friday going into Monday. So I thought on Thursday, I thought, well, if this can break out, it can definitely test 5. But then it panicked hard into the afternoon. And then the next day on Friday, it did that exact same thing. So I was thinking odds are even better because now it's consolidated even more. It has news that it has upcoming news that they keep tweeting out that they have these incredible news. So that hype over the weekend, also that great daily chart, that consolidation and good volume with it created a trigger. And going into the day, this is what it looked like. And Friday, this was great. So going into Friday, I thought, well, now odds are even better because overnight gap ups, like, it's notorious for Mondays to actually gap up, and then that's what it did, and I sold. But now coming into Monday, I bought it again, thinking, well, now this is the first time that it closed over the breakout. This was the Monday action. And on Friday, I sold because it closed too weak. So when a stock closes too weak, that's when, I'm not really like thinking, like, it didn't even close over the breakout. It had an ugly daily chart, and it closed red. So it's not really like the type of chart that I would be looking at too long overnight. And who knows, maybe they release bad news, so I have a bad average. Now bad news, maybe a gap down to start a Monday, is not really what I was looking for. So then I sold for another loss that Friday. Now coming into Monday, I'm thinking the breakout was at 4.2 and it got over 4.2. And now you see it broke out, had a nice morning spike, came back, tested the breakout, now created a trigger, and you see how well this trigger actually held. Like you see it created this trigger, held 42 again, now it keeps holding over that trigger. So now I'm thinking, well, this is definitely going to be it. Like I am not going to be wrong this time. And the next day, it was actually not that great. It was gapping up, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna sell this over 5. And all I can see is it just starts panic at the open, but I wait a little because sometimes the dip holds, and that's what I was expecting, just for it to dip some, hold red, and for it to get back to highs. But instead, it just panicked red. So I tried and sold like most of it here and most of it here. I ended up losing like 10,000 on this trade alone. I was down more. I was able to make back some from that Monday going into Tuesday, but these are like, it's not really what you expect. There's a lot of people trying to buy this too because there was a lot of hype behind it. The breakout just looks very great, and we've already seen this before. Like, we have already seen these charts go full supernova, but that's not what it did, and now it just like continued to panic. But it's like the importance of not burning yourself out. Like, I felt burnt out after trading this for 5 days. Like, I just like kept trading it because I missed this whole run up. It wasn't really like a big trade for me, which I felt like it should have, but I never really paid attention because I was still in that summer market kind of sentiment in my mind. I was like, no, it's probably not going to do much, so I didn't even like bother. And then it proceeded to have these 3 beautiful green days, so I was like, wow, well, maybe this is holding for a reason. Like the dip held literally perfect here, and then it started to consolidate right below, and then one of the days it closed over the breakout. So I am thinking this can do something great. So yes, it was choppy, and if this were February of 2020, if this were February of 2021, this would literally be at 7, but that's not the case because it's a lot different. It's a lot more choppier. So there comes the importance of not burning yourself out. If like, but then I just think like, well, yeah, I would take this A+ setup left and right. But just keeping in mind that it was also up a lot would have been helpful. Maybe just waiting for more days of consolidation. Maybe I was expecting it to do it right away because it just looked so good. It just looked like it held perfectly. So why not do it right away? But instead, it just rushed to the breakout. It was running, and I feel like I've already talked about this in previous recaps, but it ran to the breakout. It had 2 red days, meaning that it came from like 1, so it was already up a lot, maybe expecting a little more time of consolidation because it ran up to the breakout. And not only like the dip held from like 26, and also it gapped up the next day. So it's already rushing to do what it wants to do. And also, it has all of the added on pressure from everybody trying to buy it huge size because we already know what happens when these charts work. So now we haven't had these types of charts that set up great on the daily, and now we're literally eager to get in on it and not be wrong. But this time we were wrong. Then they released news when it was at around 45, and I actually had a good trade on this one, which I will explain. So when I was pretty much like done with every single long, I'm like, nope, I'm just like over it. That's not gonna happen. So instead, they released news at around like 9:50. I forget the exact time, but they released news like kind of earlier in the day. And right as the news hit, it got weak. Like it it perked, but it never really had that strong, meaningful perk that it was going to get over high day. It was never a perk that, um, like, yeah, it never really did anything. Like, it just did, but then suddenly it started to get weak. So I'm just waiting for that sell the news reaction, because it went on a good run. It had a good run, and now they release news, so odds are maybe it really won't squeeze up to something crazy, but instead it just got weak in around 45, which was the green red level. That's when I'm thinking, okay, well, I can risk high day. I can take a short at 45, so I'm risking like what, from from like 45 to 48, which is pretty good risk to reward. And I am expecting it to go red. And right as I take the short, it panics to 38, which I think that was great, but I didn't cover. I didn't really have much size, and I never really did. And then it stayed red the next day, so I didn't cover. And then the next day, that's when we got the real panic. I covered at around 30, which I thought it was best case scenario, but then it went to 26. I thought that was one of like my best trades. I think I made maybe like 3,000 on it. It wasn't a lot, it was small size, but it was like 33%. So I thought that was a good setup, and it just ended ILUS on a good note for me, I would say. It's not like I'm going to just go back and just trade the breakout. No, I would wait. If this were to set up, and now going into the hotter months, I would love for it to set up. I would love for all of the ones that ran with it to set up. CYBL. I would love for all of these to just hold around, hold 4, hold 35, and just chop around. And then once we get into the hotter months, which are December, January, February, then they would re-break out, and we would be a lot more prepared, and it would be a lot less choppier than it is now. But again, we don't know. We don't know. Like, nothing guarantees that it's going to be hot. So I think that it is important not to like get burnt out, take huge losses, like expecting something like big is like very difficult if it acts like this. Like, if it acts so choppy, like here's green, here it panics from the highs all the way down to the lows, here's red candle, here it breaks out, but it doesn't really hold over the breakout, then here it does break out, but then it has this huge, like, just choppy action that is very difficult to really like consistently have big gains. So yeah, you'll have a big gain, but yeah, you'll also have a big loss. So overall, that was one of like the main tickers that I traded. I'll talk a little bit about my stats. So percent profitable, usually it's around the 70s, this time it's 65. Yeah, I take a lot losses, I take a lot of gains, so it's not bad. At least it's like up there, but usually it could be better, except that I have taken like a lot more losses. Everything has been a little more choppier than usual. It's just trying to like get used to it. My average winning trade is 2,800. Average losing trade is 2,400. It's even, like it's pretty even. At least my average winning trade is greater than my losing trade, but it has been like win here, lose here, win here, lose here. Now, my largest winning trade was on CEI for 27,000. Although that was also choppy for me, so I will explain what happened. And largest losing trade was on mRNA, which was I'll also explain that one. And I also wanted to note that for the first time like ever, my short trades are actually greater than my long trades. I don't think that has ever happened before. I did take a lot more short trades this time. I just felt like my go-to is going long OTCs, and that hasn't really been like the one that I have been mainly like doing really good on. So I think that the short trades this time won, but it's not like I prefer going short over going long. This time, short trades won. Probably not going to happen next month because I love going long. But half of those profits came from CEI. CEI, what a beautiful extension, what a beautiful, beautiful breakout chart. It actually worked really perfect. It did what most people were not expecting it to do. There were some people that wanted it to go to 5, some people wanted it to go to 0. Fundamentally, this isn't a good stock. It was compared to Tim Gratani, compared it to GNUS, SNDL, NAKD. They are not fundamentally the best stocks where you could literally expect anything out of it, but there was a lot of hype behind it. There were a lot of people buying it. There was a lot of buying, but also a lot of shorting. And we already know what happens when there's a lot of shorts involved and also a lot of buyers involved, including GME, AMC, etc. So this one I got short on the 29th, and the 29th, that morning, was very difficult to trade because it just held every dip. It literally was perfect. Because going into the day, I thought it would be a first red day. It was gapping down, but like I was kind of thinking in my head, okay, where this stuffs, like that's probably going to be it. So I took a short in the morning. I thought it would get under low a day. Never got lower than 290, then 285, because it held those levels perfectly. And it held it yesterday, it held it after hours, it held it pre-market, and now it held it in the morning. So now you're thinking, well, 290, 285. I was thinking it would just stuff if it went green for a second and then just stuff back to low a day, which has happened, but no, this time it just held so perfect. So I took a loss in the morning. So you see how well it actually held red, which in the moment, being emotional and being down on the position, maybe that's like not what you want to see. Like sometimes you even like may forget about where even red is. So now it just holds every dip, it just holds every single level until it goes to 485. This whole morning I was trading it and I was just trying to see where the top was, which I think that is a great mistake, and I feel like a lot of people just do it. Sure, I guess that like what I was playing out in my head could have happened, but no. Take what the stock gives you. The stock tells me it's holding red. The stock tells me that it doesn't want to do what I want it to do, and it's already 9:50 and I'm still trying it. So now like in the morning I'm down almost like 35,000. I'm like, wow, well, I wish that I would have just waited for the actual day. I wish that it wasn't like so messy. It didn't really have to be, but this was the A+ setup. Now I came back, I just left the screens because it wasn't really necessary. I wasn't really trading anything more. And now I take a short at around 480. And this is what I saw. So now I am thinking, well, this is up a lot from VWAP. This is up a lot on the day, more than anybody would ever think. Now I'm looking for that short entry into power hour, unless it does want to continue after hours and go to who knows. But what I was thinking was that maybe if I could get a good short and now into power hour, it would just fade off. I wasn't really thinking that it would have such a violent panic, but that's exactly what it did. So I took a short at around 480 because it just kept testing that 480. It was trading between 485 and 480, and it just kept testing 480. So it was weak, and it really did not look like it wanted to go high up anymore. Now, it's trading in between that channel. What part of the channel is testing more? Is it testing 485 more to the upside, or is it testing 480 more? Is it like getting heavy? Is it breathing heavy? Like it just went on a marathon and now it's breathing heavy. So I could like sense it. You could see it. Now, I took a short at like 482. I was risking 485. I was risking 5. So yeah, I would have taken some off at 45 and some at 5. And then I would have been like, wow, well, I really didn't have to do that. But if I was right, that could have been a good trade. And then once it did confirm my thesis, and now it got to, now is it like 475, I'm like, well, this could be a good trade. It's up a lot on the day, and I can just risk 10 cents. Now I add some at 475, and I cover some into the unhalt. So I had orders at 4, I had orders at 410, and they all filled. And now I'm thinking that was a really big panic. I think it can get a second one. Well, that's what I did. So now I go ahead and just short again. Now it's trading in between 4 and 424, and I took a short once again for the next unhalt, and I'm risking 424 now. I don't have to risk 485. I have no reason to risk that much. If I can just risk 424 and just lose some, but still only like 10 cent risk. So now I took some short once again and covered into the unhalt. And now in the unhalt, I got long, and I thought, well, from 480 all the way to 320, I thought odds are it's going to have some good bounce. But again, afternoon panics isn't really what I like. But the difference is most of the panics that I actually trade late day were ones that were choppy fade. Choppy fades are a void. This is a violent panic. Like this is a crash. Like this is something that I could capitalize for 20, 30, 50 cents maybe. And I got some long at around like 340 and sold at 390. So for 50 cents, I thought that was a really good trade. Now I see it again. It was stuttering. It was like, it's weak. Now I'm risking the high of the bounce at 4. Now it stays heavy under 4. Now I take a short again and just cover the last. And that's how I made the $35,000 back and ended the day for 27. I'm pretty sure it was 24. So that's just how I traded it. Again, another like choppy kind of trade. So from going from ILUS to CEI, it's like I'm tired, literally. But those were like my 2 main tickers, and that was for big 27 and another one for negative 10,000. So it's like, yeah, I take some gains, I'm consistent, but then I also take some losses. So that's been like my summer pretty much for the past like 4 months, has been take some gains, take some losses, get back to even, get on an emotional trade, take a big loss on the month. There's always something, it can't just all be straight up. I wish it would, because that would make my life a lot easier, but it can't be. That's not trading. And getting used to a summer market is definitely difficult, and it is something to learn about. But overall, like, it's just a great experience to not even be down over the 4 months, like it's I am learning, but I'm not like going on a downtrend. And even though it has been gain some, lose some, like I was down 20,000 last month, now I'm up 62,000. Well, it's still like a learning process, but I'm not down overall on my equity curve. And if we go to my chart, it used to be a lot cleaner. So that can be something like in the back of my mind too, you know? It used to be a lot less clean, but I also need to remember that January and February, that's what I'm comparing it to, and I cannot compare it to those types of months. These months are definitely different. Yes, there are trades. Yes, you can make money because I still made 62,000, but it's a lot different than the months that I am trying to compare it to, which makes no sense. Not being so hard on yourself, because I am back to all-time highs at 1.4, 1.44 actually. So I think that's great, but you can already see from my equity curve that it is definitely a lot more choppier than it used to be. It used to be a lot cleaner, but now I have bigger accounts. Now I am trying to really maximize the opportunity a lot different. So I am at a different process in my career. My career now, it's like it's trying to maximize as much as I can and not miss out on great opportunities. But what was I trying to do before? Stay consistent and take the biggest gains that I could. I mean, stay consistent, but take the consistent gains, not big gains. I messed up. The consistent gains as I could. So I try to be as consistent as possible. And February, like, there was almost like no spot to lose because it was just very easy. But now in my career, I'm at that spot where I really want to maximize the opportunity to the best. And yeah, that can get me a lot of losses, that can give me a lot of gains, but it's learning and waiting for the hot market. So I think that was really important for me. I'm really happy that I'm over 1.4. I literally was at 1.3 for like 4 months straight, no joke. It was like get over 1.4, come back down to 1.35, come back up to 1.37. It has been like literally the ILUS of equity charts. That is literally me for the past 4 months. I think it's great to learn what happens in summer, you know? I think that was great. Now that I have big accounts, I kind of think a lot more than I used to, because before it wasn't really that important for me. I was just trying to make 20 bucks. I was trying to make 38 bucks. Like Tim loves this quote on Twitter that just says I made 38 and then during January I made like 17 grand on that same trade. That is what I was trying to do. I wasn't really thinking about exponentially growing. I wasn't really thinking about maximizing the opportunity because all I was trying to do was to learn what I was going to do. I didn't even know what I liked until December. That's when I realized that that's when I like panic dip buys. And now panic dip buys literally are the worst. Like ILUS and CYBL would have been charts that I would be drooling over for panics. But now I didn't trade one panic at all. Why? Because it's very choppy. You can already see fakes out here, fakes out here. Yeah, it bounces, but it doesn't really give you a chance to really get out. There's not a lot of volume going through it. Now, panics again. Now, yeah, it has a bounce again, but then it just keeps panicking and it keeps faking out. It's just not very ideal. CYBL, the same. Like, I don't want to waste my time on these that I literally already know. I'm not going to fill the size that I want. It's not going to bounce as high as I want, and it's going to keep faking out. Those are already like three things that should not happen in a panic that are happening now. So that's not really what I want. I want to wait for when the time is right. Right now, breakouts are choppy. Panic dip buys are choppy. First red days are choppy. First green days are choppy. So overall, yes, you can make some really good trades, but you can also get into bad trades, if that makes sense. But that is how I feel. That is how my market sentiment is right now. And what I'm looking for, like in the future, is to maximize as most as I can in the best trade setups, because I have the knowledge now to maximize an opportunity. But for now, it's just trying to have $60,000 months. That is actually great. If I have a $20,000 month, that's actually great. If I have a $10,000 month, that's great. But avoiding big losses and knowing that being emotional is not worth it, because there will be better times. Like, why do I want to be emotional if that stresses me out? That's not something that I want to do. And all I want to do is consistently get that equity curve up and just be ready for like the next opportunity. So that is what I'll be looking for. Also, and now, like, to end things off, I want to share with you guys there are so many more girls that are now trading, and I just feel like this is amazing, because when I first started, I didn't really have that inspiration, and now I just see all of these girls that are now posting, that now are just sharing their whole experience, the whole journey. So I want to give a shout out to Kim. Literally, look at this chart. Like, that is a nice chart. That is great chart. And she said, September in the books, rough start to the month, which again, we all have difficult months, and September was definitely difficult. Not detrimental in terms of money, but just mentally draining, taking a loss after a loss. And like I already mentioned here as well, that is how I feel. I felt mentally drained because instead of losing money, yeah, I still made 62,000, but mentally it is that chop that just kind of takes away. So like, let's say you have the two accounts, the money account and now the emotional account. Your emotional account is literally down while you're still up. So that still accounts, and mentally for the health, it is difficult. She said she had her first red week in 9 months, which that is crazy. And but then she had new best week, and she got over $21,000 in profits, which I think that is great for 24,000. Now another one is Guyane, 9 month of trading, again, just 9 months, and my profits don't show it, but this was the most consistent month. And that is what I did in the beginning. When I first started, I tried to be as consistent as I could. And we can look at her charts, and it's like super nice. It literally looks like one of my charts when I was just kind of getting a feel of what I was doing, because I was still making $38. I was still making $20, but while you're learning, that's when you start to find your personality, and then that's when you start to do good, because now you already had all of this practice of small gains and you had small losses. So it's not really an emotional barrier that you have of making money back. No, you're just trying to learn the process, which is very important. There's a lot of other girls too. We have 3,100 from Gabriella. We have 3,000 from Shirley. We have 424 from Kylie. We have 2,400 from Kim. We have 375 from Juliana, who is also another Colombian like me. And we have, who else? 380 from Kylie. So this is amazing, and I think that the more girls there are, the more inspiring it is for other girls. And I do think that everybody can do it, because it's all a matter of the process and how much you know. It doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your hair color, because if you are prepared and if you look and if you just wait for if you just wait until you learn the process, then that is when you can do it. It doesn't matter if it's like a guy's job or a girl's job. No, because the same charts that I wake up to is the same charts that other guys wake up to. So I think that congratulations to you all. And that's it. I will see you guys for October, which ideally will be better. And we will get to trade some clean OTC charts. Thanks.